after he addressed criticism, you know, he did a video called addressing Chris Hansen addresses the criticism, right? So obviously, you know, YouTubers are tuning in because he's addressing not only Repzilla, but he addressed some things from Repzilla, some things from John Swan, and you know, here and there, other things that he's been criticized for. So after this video came out, a YouTuber named Augie RFC, well, that's his handle on YouTube, did a live stream in which we went over that. I was also guesting on that show. We were essentially reacting to it. In that show, Repzilla expressed his frustrations, and I believe that's when you said you said something from a conversation that Ashlee had with Chris.
Which at the time I was kind of frustrated, but looking back, I really don't care.
It was I can't say, but one of the survivors said that he refers to them as daughter.
We had a phone call, which, given the context of everything, he came on the phone call and was like very frustrated because I think it was right after the John Swan video came out, or it was something was frustrating him. Like something came out that he was really frustrated about. We were basically trying to tell him, you know, listen, you need to make a statement about everything that's going on because it's not looking good for you. And he was like, well, I'll do it when I damn well please, which is a direct quote. And he said, really? he said, I'll do it when I damn well please. And he seemed very like, he obviously was frustrated, which anybody who was under heat on the internet would be frustrated. Sure. And he then was like, well, you know, you guys are like, or no, it's because he saw that I had accidentally liked a comment that I really genuinely did not mean to like. And it was something comparing something with Shiloh. And I didn't mean to like it, but he called me out on it on a phone call and was like, well, and you liked this comment. And I was really insulted
on
because,
Twitter,
you know, you guys are like my daughters. And then right after that, he asked us to stick up for him online. If we wanted to make a statement, we could, because he was going to get to it because he had other things going on, so he would get to it later.
Okay. So yeah, you like the tweet, and he's like, I mean, if you guys want to stick up for me, you can, but I don't want to comment on it, because basically you were suggesting him like stick up for himself for the criticism he was receiving, and he's like, I'll do it on my own time. You guys can do it, but I won't.
It felt very strange, and that was the last time, other than my final text message to him like a week or so ago, that was the last time he spoke to me.
So obviously when we heard that, because there was a group chat with several people that were covering the Dahvie Vanity investigation, including me, Repzilla, and Creep Show. And you know, in part I feel like that show kind of went sideways. Like I blame myself because like everybody in the chat was collectively like sort of agreeing that everything that Chris Hansen was saying in his criticism video was like just kind of wrong, not in like his incorrect, but kind of like inappropriate, I guess. You know, so so I was like, you know what? Hey, we're saying similar things on Chris Hansen in Augie RFC's show. I'll share the link. So I shared the link, and because of that, some people went to the show, and Ashlee was actually busy that night, so she didn't get to witness it. So
I felt bad because I wasn't watching it when you guys were doing this, so I was just basing my judgment on the stream off of what other people were telling me. And I kind of had a knee-jerk reaction to post, you know, on Twitter, which I don't usually do. And I ended up watching it myself later that night. Like when it was all over, I watched all 4 hours of it, and I apologized to Augie and, you know, everybody else in general in the stream for misinterpreting a lot of things and how they were said, because at the end of the day, it really, as far as our conversations being shared going, wasn't that bad.
For someone to say it says something about his character, if you want to be the ethical TV journalist, you can't be calling people your daughters. You know, it gives the wrong impression.
Especially if you're not going to talk to them for an entire month after because they didn't call somebody out on Twitter that you wanted them to. Not really like your daughter after all, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that filled in the blank that I was going to get to in my own words that I couldn't have gotten to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't understand how you can come to me when you need something from me, when you need me to stick up for you, or you need me to say something for you, and then not when I tell you, hey, I don't feel comfortable doing this, you don't talk to me for over a month, and I'm not really like your daughter after all, you know? That obviously there's not a bond there.
I think the manipulation part of it wouldn't have ever came up if he hadn't said that at the exact time that he said that to you.
Yeah, and I've made plenty of comments about Chris being like my grandpa or something. And I made comments when we first started connecting about like, oh, like you text me and it feels like I'm texting like my grandpa or something, you know? And like it felt like there was a connection there, but then to not talk to me and then say it in regards to a drama related topic, it's like you're saying, that context is what made it seem weird, I guess.
Yeah, and even in then and there, we did say that we don't know this for sure.
Well, I said allegedly, bro.
There you go. The keywords.
Are you saying that Chris Hansen calls those girls daughter?
Yes.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I guess the bigger point was that it was like a little bit like it's just about being transparent, because
Yes.
you know, I've never promised anybody that as I've ever co-hosted or given a platform to anything beyond like, hey, I'm doing the best to share your story, and like, yeah, of course I always stay in touch. I when I finally do my Chris Hansen video, whenever I get to it, guys, the amount of people that have contacted me about being on his show and like the way they feel like unpleasant about it is insane. I can't imagine. I mean, I haven't like, you know, interviewed that many people on my own channels or anything, but like, I just can't imagine having a resume where literally over almost 24 people confirmed have had a bad, unpleasant experience on your stream. Like, geez, damn.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean.
I'm gonna pee.
I don't know. I think it's important for me to reiterate this again, because I know that Mal's in the chat now. I don't care who still supports him. If people are still working with him, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bash anybody for continuing to work with him, but I respect their decision to do that. And I have respectfully ignored saying things to people when they talk about Chris to me, if I feel like it will upset them, or I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm happy for you with whatever's happening with them. So I need this moment to talk about my experience and my 100% interpretation of everything, because I felt for months, like I have felt very silenced and felt very invalidated in most of my feelings regarding him. So this is 100% my interpretation and my true experience of how my conversations with him. Like, I mean, you guys saw text messages earlier in the chat. You guys can interpret them your own way. This is just what happened with me. If you're going to go be on his show, be on his show. That's awesome. I hope it's a good show. I just don't have any desire to associate myself with it anymore at all. This isn't supposed to be drama. This is me telling you guys what happened to me and what I went through, and what Lizz, if Lizz comes on later, then it's what Lizz went through as well, or what Lizz experienced. We don't need anybody fighting with people in the chat about this. It's already uncomfortable enough, especially because there are very clearly very conflicting views between me and Mal regarding Chris Hansen, but that's okay. Everybody has different opinions.
Ashlee feeling like already, you know, we've heard her feel grateful for Hansen. She's in a place of being gracious. Not only does she not want to speak out, but she also doesn't want to create friction, because for a long time there was a lot of prominent guests going on to Chris Hansen, so it would look weird to begin with either way, no matter how you spin it. Hearing something like "I see you as my daughter," it's like I don't know, like, how did that make you feel?
I mean, like I said, if it was in a different context, it would be different, because I had referred to him in the past like, oh, it's like my grandpa's texting me, or like it's like, I don't know, I talked about like maybe I could send Chris Hansen Christmas cards because I thought that sounded like funny because it's Chris Hansen, you know?
Right.
And then in the context of saying that to me, and then whenever you're asking me to do you a favor by sticking up for you on the internet, and then you don't talk to me for an entire month afterwards when I tell you that I'm not interested in fighting your battles, it's just like, it made, obviously the month thing was after, so my feelings now are like, that makes me feel super weird. But even in the moment, I was like, I felt weird. Like, I felt very strange about it. And I said something to the other person that was on the phone with me, and I was like, that was weird. And they're like, I didn't interpret it that way. And I'm like, all right, cool. You didn't interpret it that way. I did. So it made me feel very strange.
And you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's moments in this, even in this live stream, where I get senses of you like sort of resisting saying certain things on Chris Hansen, and other moments where you kind of like say like a lot. Like at one point I was like surprised, like, oh, okay, there's that way of saying it, you know? So like,
yeah.
Is there any truth to like where you feel sort of liberation, and all of a sudden you kind of like want to like shrink back and not say too much? Kind of.
I mean, like, I feel I'm trying not to get upset right now because, like, you know, like Mal's in the chat and she obviously still supports him, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And then people are coming at her, and then people are speculating in the chat if we're still friends or not. And I'm over here talking about something, and it's like something that she obviously isn't going to agree with. And now I feel like I have to respect someone else's views and withhold things that I want to be saying. But the whole point of this stream is that I'm tired of looking after other people's feelings, and I'm talking about mine, because this has killed me for months. Like, this has really killed me for months. holding all of this in. And sorry, my heart's beating so fast. And like, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I'm like, dude, I just need this moment.
Yeah, no.
I just need to talk about it, because I'm always like, there's people on his side that are like, no, you're just misinterpreting things. Like, I feel it. It's real. It keeps me up at night. You know, like, I lose sleep over this. I have dreams about it when I do sleep. I think about it all the time, and this shit eats me alive. And I don't know. I'm like caught between, like, the whole point of the stream is to say what's happening. But now I'm sitting here and I'm like, trying.
Yeah, that's.
You're never gonna go wrong by speaking your truth. So you just say how you feel, and that's fine.
That's kind of see, that's where I kind of felt like you were sort of closing out, and I definitely don't want you to feel like that. I literally, you know, when I gave that smile, I was like, whoa, that's a good end. Like I'm happy for you. When I felt like I wanted to say the word, you seem like liberated to let that out, and then I felt you kind of shrink back a little bit. So I want you to feel free, because that's the reason why I know I wanted to schedule this show specifically, you know, for you to be able to have this space. So I
and I need to just do that. I just get in my head. Sorry, my fiance just came in because he's watching in the other room, and I just need to stop caring about if it's gonna upset somebody else, because it's been upsetting me this whole time.
That's completely valid.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of pressure from the internet. You know, it's like, and I think that comes in to role when people ask questions. So or try to interpret it in certain ways, and it's like right now I just ask that people kind of like focus on what Ashlee's saying, and these are her thoughts and her feelings. So I don't want you to feel bad.
I hate doing this. I hate doing this shit because this looks so stupid. Like, I hate crying on a live stream or starting to cry. Like, I feel like dumb, and like this like just looks like so reachy, but like I don't know.
No, it's
anyways.
Look, it's a moment of vulnerability, and it is what it is, real and raw, and you know, like there's no cue to be like, all right, like this is. I'm happy for you, and I'm proud, and I'm glad that I could offer you this space, and I hope.
Yeah.
I don't know. You've been doing great so far.
And like, I feel so much like I said earlier, when somebody asked me who gives me the most support, like my fiance, you, Shane, Tamimi, Shannon, like you guys are always there every time. And it's just, I don't know, like whenever I feel like I can't talk to people about how I feel with this, you guys are there and you make such a huge difference. And I'm thankful that we can be on here talking about this right now. So just ignore this. This never happened. We're moving forward. We're talking about feelings and shit.
You're good. It's real as rock. I know. I feel you. And honestly, you guys, the chat overall, like I would probably rate it like a solid like 90%. You know, for the most part, you guys have been really good, and I really appreciate. I'm really grateful for you guys for being very considerate of what's going on and everything, because it is difficult. You know, like it is difficult. Like obviously, the name Chris Hansen will be able to get guests. You know, like before anything, like of course, like his name would be more prone to getting someone like Ash Costello or whatever, right? Like, yeah, she's gonna respond, even though she says she watched my videos. So that was kind of cool, but like, you know, she's obviously gonna respond to Chris Hansen, or he's gonna be able to get that name because of that. But like, people don't know like some of the stuff that goes behind the scenes. Now, of course, Ashlee's experience doesn't mean that it's for everybody. You know, sure, for every like, even though like, you know, 8 out of 10 sort of statistics seem to tell me like a bad experience. Of course, there's gonna be like a few that are just fine, but it does not invalidate what Ashlee and others have gone through. After that criticism video that he did, then he did a stream where he misconstrued a lot from the Augie stream, including like my tweet in which I said that I believe, and I still believe, that he uses victims that are going to show as meat shields, you know, and I stand by that.
One content creator accused me of using you as a quote unquote meat shield against criticism of me.
Not only as meat shields, but also sort of weaponizes, you know, not only does he use them to like shield himself, but also kind of weaponizes them, as he did in that stream, to kind of like, instead of him responding to the tweet, he used his guest to respond to me. And I thought that was highly inappropriate, but you know, because then it puts me in a weird position where I'm like, well, I want to respond to him, but he's not responding to my tweet. He's making his guest respond to me, which I think is gross. But anyway, I'll respond.
It's not a fair dynamic, because if anybody feels like a power like dynamic with him, I'm not saying he's using a power dynamic to take advantage of people, but I'm saying some people might think because he's Chris Hansen, they should do this for him. And that's not fair for anybody with a platform to ask somebody who does not have a platform to stick up for you. Like, that's not fair in any situation, whether it be Chris or be anybody.
After the stream that I mentioned on Augie RFC's show, where me and Repzilla and some other YouTubers were on there, he labeled us, well, I guess unofficially said, it's almost as if there was some sort of a goon squad. Now, when I searched up goon squad, it was I had never heard of a goon squad, so I searched up on Google goon squad, right?
That's so offensive.
A group of individuals serving as enforcers, bodyguards, and the like, especially persons hired for such a purpose and using violent thuggish methods. So he's basically calling us thugs. I don't know. I would love to hear exactly what he means by goon squad, because this is obviously just like, the Google definition when you search goon squad. But yeah, that was quite offensive to me. And he also said a couple other things that were really offensive to me that I'm like, that it gets me a little emotional to say, because he like implied that I was like harassing and being abusive. Like, he used these words. Let me just go to it real quick, because that really like offended me. I was offended. Like every single and of course I've criticized Chris Hansen, like I know. And but like I'm happy to articulate or expand in any way that anybody wants to put me on the spotlight for my criticisms, but never have I implied that he's abusive or the things he said. Let me go exact quotes, by the way, because I don't want to.
It's just such an extreme to take. Like it seems way too extreme. Things like that for somebody who wants to avoid drama channels and to avoid drama so much. Why smack such harsh labels on a group of people who you had every opportunity to make amends with, but chose not to?
His quote was that the live stream ended up being a free-for-all that was abusive.
And again, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but everything I've heard, it was...
Everything I've heard implies that you're making a statement based on, did you even watch the stream, Chris Hansen? Because that's weird. And not to mention, this stream happened 2 days after the Augie stream. So it kind of confused me why he would be so eager to address it so quick, because there was more than 30 minutes of his 1 hour and 4 minute stream where he addressed us. So that felt so inappropriate to me, that he would spend more time talking about drama than talking to his guest about what she experienced with Dahvie. Why? Anyway, sorry, I've never vented about this on a live stream, so that's why I have so much in me. But and it's ironic, but yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts on that, and I'm debating on if I want to make them just like a one hitter so that I don't bring it up again.
I would love it, because like I said, I'm working, well, not working actively, like I'm planning to, maybe it never comes up, but I do want to do a video where I talk about Chris Hansen, and I mean, maybe I'll end up even emailing him, but as everybody seems to say, he doesn't really come through. Not talking about you, but like Tamimi and Repzilla and Repzilla say that he doesn't seem to responds very timely, but I do want to give him a chance to respond to some things, because I have a lot to say about the homie.
Oh, he did say that he's open to talk to you. He did say that. Twice now.
Twice? Okay. It's not cool to say that, because I can say the amount of work that I put into my things, and it doesn't matter if you guys believe me or not, because I know the amount of like attention and like and just emotion that I put into talking to people. Mm-hmm. But anyways.
Yeah. You were very communicative with me every step of the way. And it's frustrating to watch that whole thing with Chris Hansen go down, as far as like the whole Goon Squad shit goes, because it's like, it just became this whole shit show of just everybody hate on Edwin, Shane, Augie, anybody else. And I feel, as a survivor myself, I didn't feel disrespected by that stream. I can't speak for everybody else, because we obviously all have very different opinions, but there is no reason. The only reason it became what it did is because Chris took it and made a show out of it. That is the only reason. It's disappointing, because if you I'm just going to keep repeating it, but if you're a reporter, you need to research and report on things, not just jump the gun and just be like, oh, this and this, because that's not what's happening. And then you end up getting a bunch of videos made about you, and then your videos get a bunch of really horrible like to dislike ratios, and then people are on streams talking about you. and why you keep making mistakes that they wish that you wouldn't, because they tried to help you and you would never take it. So
yes, I know the chat's probably thinking, well, is it possible that he's just completely disconnected from this new age of internet and has no idea what Instagram and Twitter does? And you would be right to a degree, but that still doesn't matter.
Well,
Like,
it's not even
if you're
about
that disconnected, then you shouldn't be reporting.
But
If you
that
are
is-
so
it's-
disconnected that you cannot navigate the internet, don't report on internet topics.
And
Don't
here's another-
sorry.
Another really strong. No, you're good. Here's another really strong point, guys. Chat. We tried to hook him up with credible YouTubers to help him learn more how to do this, but he himself decided that he was going to pick his own people.
and not to mention, it's not even about being able to navigate the online space. It's about being receptive to hearing other points of views out, other perspectives. He was open to speaking to Repzilla. He had him on his show, but when he did that video addressing criticism, in that video he says, Repzilla, you can call me. What happens after that? Repzilla texts him. He's like, hey, all right, let's have a conversation. Hansen just gives him a short answer saying, hey, I'm swamped right now. Repzilla says 2 more texts and then never hears back. So it's like, what is it? Is that like an intimidation move? Like, why don't you just call me? Huh?
Another thing is that he does. Well, I can't speak on that. I'm sorry. That was a little too personal.
Oh shit!
We'll back up.
Repzilla
I
getting.
don't agree with the way that he treated Repzilla in that scenario.
Oh no, yeah, he straight up randomly threw in like a weird implication on Repzilla. That was weird.
And you can call me, by the way. It's not like you have to go straight to YouTube to criticize. I guess it's your right, that's fine, but I have to wonder if you're not just diverting attention from your own drama.
Internet Unwind says, I'm on the Gene list. Gene was actually here earlier, and he said that Gene,
He was
get
being
this.
pretty cool earlier.
I know, right? He was being cool. He said, I don't like Edwin, but I respect him. Okay, I'm not on the Gene list, so that's good. I'm not gonna get my Twitter taken down. But here's what I'll say. I find it curious that Gene says that. I think Gene said, I feel like I saw him say on Twitter that he doesn't work with Chris Hansen, but then again, in my chat, he was saying something along the lines of, I'll make sure he hears some of this. Which is it? Or no, actually, it was Chris himself. Chris himself said that I have no influence over Gene whatsoever. But bro, if you're working with him, you have influence, dude. Anyways.
He told me that he doesn't have any ties to him, and then he said he didn't control what he did. So I don't know why he felt the need to say that. And we won't go into speculation.
Welcome, Kylie, to the show. I feel like, Ashlee's one of the people that are pretty recognizable because they're most vocal. And unfortunately, people might recognize Kylie because she became an unintentional sort of like meme when she was not her, but Chris, when he asked her about like the George Floyd stuff or something. It was really awkward.
I see something else interesting, and that is that a number of the girls, now young women, who I've talked to and interviewed for this case, are also involved in the protests, the Black Lives Matter movement, in the aftermath of George Floyd's murder in Minneapolis. Do you see any parallels there?
But yeah, so what are your general thoughts, just to start off, Kylie, after being on Chris Hansen?
Like, honestly, I can't remember exactly where I wanted to start when I said, like, let me on right now, because I think the thing that I was thinking about was just the way that he handled everything after that stream. Like, it's all about just sensationalizing everything. That's why I kind of like, after my first interview, so even before the Black Lives Matter thing, I was disappointed because that first interview just felt like it felt like all he was asking me was about like how I bullied people and how I was mean to people, which was like part of it. And I knew
and he put you on the spot to apologize to me when I'd never met you.
And I mean, that was something that we had kind of discussed it, and I was just like, I have some things that I have to answer for back then, and that's fine. But it felt like to combine that part with what Dahvie had actually done to me, it didn't feel good. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. didn't feel
Yeah.
good. So the first stream that I did was actually with Lizz and Ashlee, and that was the stream where he focused like mainly on people that I had like bullied. I mean, that's the word kind of that I guess I feel was implied. I don't know that he actually said that, but
you were pretty aggressive about defending him online, and to the point of even, and correct me if I'm wrong, go after some of these other young women who suggested that he sexually assaulted them. Why was that?
That stream was focused on that. And I guess the thing I want to say about that first interview is that he was supposed to call me to let me know who else was going to be on that stream, because he knew that there were some people that it was not the right time for me to confront them or have a conversation with them. Like, for example, one of Dahvie's ex-girlfriends, Dahvie cheated on her with me. So ideally, I would not want to go on Chris Hansen with that person. I mean, that's just not the time for that.
Right. Yeah, it's awkward. It's like a weird public thing.
Yeah, and he never told me who it was, and it ended up being Lizz, so it was fine, but it was just, there was a lack of communication surrounding this whole thing. And then I guess my first kind of feeling that something, or I guess that things weren't exactly as they seemed.
Well, he like stopped midstream. Like he acknowledged, he like brought me back on because I was on there to accompany Lizz, and I'd never met Kylie before. And he like cut back to me and was having a discussion with me in general after Kylie had spoken, and, you know, said how, you know, she felt sorry or felt bad for how she used to stick up for him, blah, blah, blah. And then out of nowhere just goes, Kylie, what do you say to Ashlee right now? And I am horrible with being put on the spot with things like that, because I felt awful. Like, I don't know. I got so uncomfortable. Like, all I could do is go, oh no, because I just felt super weird.
And I mean, the truth is, after being asked all those questions, and it's not like I had no idea what was going to be in the stream. Like, we kind of talked about it, but honestly, I felt like shit after that. So
yeah. No, that's why I wanted to message you, and I was like, dude, like, it's okay. Like,
so I'm gonna play the relevant stream. If you guys can even watch it on the screen. I'm screen sharing right now, so they can watch that exact moment. I just found it.
You have since talked to some of the other survivors, Megan and Elizabeth, who have appeared on this show. What do you say to them now? And what do you say to people like Lizz and Ashlee, who have been through this, who are trying to still come to grips with it, to survive it, to seek some measure of justice out of it?
I think
I hope that they can understand kind of where my mind was, and that it wasn't in the right place at that time. But absolutely, I apologize to anyone who I ever was mean to, whether indirectly or to their face. You know, these people went through the worst thing in their life, and they had someone like me basically saying that they were lying. So I do want to apologize specifically to Damien, absolutely, Katie Kane, Ash Costello, and Megan again, who I've already had a conversation with. But
so you weren't told that you were gonna be like making like a public apology on his show, right? Is that what you're saying?
The only thing that we discussed was like, so when he first called me, he basically asked me to kind of run through like how I knew Dahvie, what exactly happened, this and that. And then I had told him that I was a really big supporter of him. So obviously there were people that I was mean to. And he's like, well, if it's okay with you, we'll just touch on that a little bit. I mean, you don't have to say anything you don't want to, and blah, blah, blah. But then it kind of, that's what the whole interview turned into. And then, you know, when I'm on the live stream, it's kind of hard to be like, I don't want to be doing this. Like, I don't want to be talking about any of this.
Right.
Because at that point, I was kind of just like, okay, I'll just answer whatever he's asking me.
When you go forward a little bit more, he brings me on and then asks her the same thing again. So she is like forced to apologize like a second time. And no, you don't have to play it. No.
I see.
But like, I just was so uncomfortable, and I felt so bad for her, because I'm like, whoa.
Do you mind if I bring it up, Kylie?
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, and I should clarify, like, I did not know Ashlee before it started. So, like, that was just me thinking about how I would have treated her if I was still in the mindset that we were talking about on this show.
So he made you apologize to someone that you never even interacted with ever, as the, like as if like Ashlee's a representative of every survivor, I guess. Oh wow, that's really tricky.
It was so weird. I was so uncomfortable. Like my eyes started watering, and like I got like really upset, and like I like almost started crying like for her. So like there's like I look like I'm not even crying, but I'm like sitting there like this because I'm like so like, oh my god,
Okay.
like this is weird.
And
All right, let's watch
honestly,
this.
Like, not to derail the whole conversation, but like that's why I took it so terribly when he asked the Black Lives Matter thing, because first of all, it was out of nowhere. I mean, I kind of know why he asked it, because the show that night was supposed to be about that, and I kind of like filled in last minute, and that's why the show was like put together that way so poorly. But I just listen, obviously I made an ass of myself. That's fine. It was a
You did
shitty
the best you
answer,
could.
but it was a shitty question, and he shouldn't have asked it. And that's all I have to. I mean,
Kylie, I'm going to bring on Ashlee Lilly here for a minute, and Liz is obviously listening as well. Ashlee, you heard what Kylie had to say. Kylie, what do you say to Ashlee tonight?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh god.
You did not want to be there.
Why do I listen?
I don't want to be here. There's no pressure. There's no pressure.
You're kind of the foundation of this coming forward again, and you know, obviously I'm thankful to you for that, but I also, you know, I do kind of owe you some kind of apology, because I know that, you know, had I known this back then, I feel like you would have also been one of the people that I didn't believe, and that I would have been horrible to.
No. Oh no.
But I am thankful, you know, for you, me even excluded from the equation, that, you know, justice will be done one day, and you have a lot to do with that.
And Ashlee, what do you say to that?
Oh, my heart's beating really fast. I wasn't expecting that. Earlier I made a comment, and I said that I've had 100% positivity through this experience, and that includes stop, Edwin, stop playing it. Aiden.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Oh my god.
Stop!
Holy crap. Why would he do this? Holy crap.
Someone in the chat just told me that I was cringy, and I'm like, I know, I said that.
Dude, why would he put you? Why would he create that situation for you two? Holy crap, knowing the context.
Edwin, you know you do not put those people together because you know this is going to happen. As a content creator, you know that this is the recipe for what this is.
Look.
Oh, it was so weird.
Why would he? Why? I'm in disbelief why he would make Kylie apologize to Ashlee like that, and then make Ashlee respond to it. Sorry.
Crazy.
Well, okay, so the other thing is, this was my first interview, and originally I was supposed to go on with Elizabeth and Megan because I've known them for over 10 years. So, but that didn't happen because Chris was I was in contact with him for like, I don't know, like a month before I actually went on, because every time I would be like, hey, so, you know, like follow up with him, he'd be like, oh, I had a crazy weekend, or oh, I'm super busy, this and that. So both times that I went on, he called me like the day before, maybe 2 days before on the first interview, and asked me to go on. Actually, like I had missed a call from him, I think a week or two before that, where he wanted me to go on that night. So
I feel bad because it was kind of my fault that you even went on the one with the Black Lives Matter thing anyways, because like Chris was texting me and he was texting Mal, and he was like desperately calling us and asking us if we knew anybody to be on the show that night. And I was like, I don't know, dude. Like, I really don't know. Then I was thinking about it. I was like, well, Kylie didn't get to like tell her story really. So I was like, well, maybe try Kylie. Then I messaged Kylie and I'm like, hey, do you want to go on the show tonight? And it's like,
okay, so
I feel responsible.
Two things about that. First, I did want to go back on because I felt like the point was missed in the first interview. Like, I really didn't talk about what had happened to me, I sounded just like I was one of his friends who was just like hanging around. You know what I mean? Like it didn't sit right with me. So I wanted to go on the second time, and that's fine. But then beforehand, when we're talking about what we're going to go over, which was like a 2-minute conversation, I said, hey, the only thing I don't really want to talk about is the incident that happened when I was 15, because I do have a police report. I don't know whether anything's going to happen with it or not, but technically it's being investigated, so I'd rather not talk about it. And he's like, oh, it'll be fine. Like, whatever you say on the stream, it doesn't have anything to do with that, which is like legally, technically true, but I don't know. I mean, I have to take some accountability here as far as like, I should have said no. I should have put my foot down a little bit more, but I mean, I was talking to Chris Hansen.
I mean, that goes back into what we were saying earlier as well, where like, you know, it's because for so long there was a big power imbalance where Dahvie Vanity had a platform that you would be shut down if you try to speak against them. So now it's like, it is a sort of flattery to have the opportunity to speak up, you know. So I don't blame you. I mean, but I understand what you're saying.
I've had obviously a lot less interactions with Chris than Ashlee or Mal or, you know, maybe a couple other people, but I guess it's hard for people on the outside to understand because he did help us. I mean, he did put this out there in a way that maybe couldn't have been done otherwise. We just don't know. So we want to be able to criticize things that he does that aren't okay with us, but at the same time, we don't want to bite the hand that feeds us. So it's like, it's a really fine line for us. And that's why a lot of people have a problem with how we quote go back and forth, which I don't think we really do, but
yeah.
See, and you say a lot of people, and like I personally don't see it, but like that's the thing that people need to remember. Like we as spectators, people in the chat, they don't see what you guys get told, you know, in DMs or tweets or whatever and all that stuff. So I think that's a good point to emphasize. Yeah, like it's a difficult position to be in because of what you've been granted, but at the same time, like, yeah, it's
that's why I waited so long.
Yeah, and it's like on the internet, like you guys aren't not YouTubers, or you guys didn't build a platform or anything. So it's like, yeah, to be offered that and all of a sudden like talk back to someone like that, it's like, oh, but yeah.
God, it's really hard to explain. And like, even like Ashlee and I have had a conversation about this before too. And I'm just, like, I kind of just sat back and I was like, no one who was there is going to understand what we're talking about. Like, this just sounds so ridiculous. It sounds like we're nitpicking, but like, again, I would encourage everybody to go watch John Swan's video and then come back and see how you feel after that, because it's kind of just, it's a series of events that hasn't ended. I mean, and I'm not saying Chris is a bad person. I think, I do think though that he tries to get out of situations or mistakes he has made by deflecting it onto other people, and he can't take responsibility for himself. And that's what I don't like.
You know what I find interested is that you also seem to show a sort of resistance in that even though right here, for the most part, this I believe that this chat is mostly like up to par, you know, like like you still kind of feel like a little bit, do you feel a sort of like resistance to kind of talk about him because of it?
Well, okay, so all of my experiences, all of the evidence has shown me that Chris is not a good person. I don't know what the word I want to use is. A lot of people say scammer, and maybe that's the most accurate one, but
like a grifter.
Yeah, and I just don't feel comfortable like going at him that hard when it seems to just be there could be two sides to everything I'm saying right now. So I want to give him a little bit of benefit, even though that's probably obviously not the case, given everyone's that has talked about him and, you know, said the same thing. But I'm a little hesitant to like go at him for things that are beyond my experience.
Well, that'd be the great thing if he would be willing to reasonably respond to videos such as John's, and not in a way where he retweets a video that is completely slandering John, you know?
Yes.
Well, what can he say? What can he say against it?
He could just sit down and have a real conversation.
Well, here's the thing too. Yeah, he could talk to him, hit him up, or ignore it as a whole, because when you retweet it, a slanderous video against the creator that spoke against you, it just looks terrible.
Interesting video. floating around the internet.
And one thing I do want to say to Chris, I'm sure someone is going to relay all of this to him anyway. When all of that happened after the stream, I am so disappointed, honestly disgusted, like the way he came for, I mean, specifically for you and Repzilla, who, like, I haven't had that much personal interaction with, but you guys are the guys. Whenever you talk about this case, you talk about it like you care about us. Ashlee has nothing but good things to say about you guys. And then to see him talk about you guys, the people that actually care about us and actually care about this case, is just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, definitely. I have a really big problem. Like, I can listen to people vent about other people all day, but the minute you start insulting people that I care about, like, if you want to vent and tell me somebody that I like or care about did something to you, that's fine. Vent about it to me. But when you start insulting them and, like, throwing false allegations at them, like Chris did with, like, you know, obviously all of you guys, I just, like, I have to get out of it, because I don't support that at all. And I say something every time. And obviously he wasn't into me saying something. So
thank you. I really appreciate it though, Kylie. Yeah. For real, because yeah, like I said earlier, like it does affect the person, you know. It's like, damn, dude, like I typically have a policy to not hit up people that block me, because I can only assume they don't want to talk. But you know, I'll make an exception. I'll hit him up before I do my video on him. But I really appreciate you guys, you know, being mindful to me.
Some people said, you know, stop looking at the chat, but like when I'm looking at the chat, it's because there are so many good things in there that it makes me feel better to see those. And I feel like every time I've come on to one of your streams, it's been like just really supportive the whole way, except for, you know, a couple of people every now and again. So it's just nice to know that I have a place here.
Girl, for sure. At the Edwin's Generation Homeboys Got Receipts, whatever home you want to call it.
Let me try to, I know I have better notes somewhere. Sorry, it's my glasses.
That's okay.
I'm like,
Your interview
the
with
whole
Hansen.
thing is that I felt like it was really fast when it came to him, like contact. Like first it was like I was trying to get in contact with him for weeks, because I felt like if this is something that can get more exposure and we can get justice, and there's any other you know, survivors, victims out there of Dahvie's, that, you know, this is a great platform to get our voices out there. But then he didn't contact me for weeks. And then all of a sudden he calls me the day before Wednesday, which is when his live show is. And I felt like super rushed when it came to like, he was like, okay, what's your story? And I told him, and it was like literally a 15-minute phone call. So I don't know. I just felt some type of way with that process, because I had to tell him what happened. Like I had to tell him what I experienced at 13. And then I had to go right back to work. And I'm a nurse, so I work helping patients. And so that was kind of stressful. I had to like snap back into it. And then I had to be on the show the next day. So I guess I could have said no, but like the way I felt about it is like at the time I was waiting for weeks and weeks and weeks for him to get, like, it was just like 3 or 4 weeks, but I was still waiting to get in contact with him. And so it was just so last minute to me that it could have been handled better.
One of my personal criticisms is just like, yeah, there should be more connection with the guest. I mean, we can all remember the amount of attention he gave to Jeffree Star because he publicized it all, you know, how he had like numerous conversations. It was all public that they spoke on the phone, you know, multiple times before the actual show happened. So I just think that it could be beneficial if he gave that much energy to victims and not just the celebrity appearances.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, like, it's easy to get in tune with a celebrity, you know, but like the way I see about it is like he's not gonna. I don't want to say this. It's not hit specifically. People don't really care about others that aren't gonna really give, you know, help them in some which way. So I'm not trying to be like, obviously survivors, we're not celebrities. And that's not what we're aiming for. So, you know, you're not really going to get anything from us if you spend time and, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess, you know.
See, I hear that and I'm like, well, I mean, I guess I personally won't gain like, oh, you know, a lot of people don't know that, you know, Lizz, the green lady here, but like, I feel like by the amount of times that I've spoken to you, you know, I feel like there's a specific connection that I can build with you, and that I can sort of gain more no mutual trust and way to present your voice better and better.
Yeah, just empathize, and I appreciate it. Yeah, you're pretty cool, man. You're pretty cool, man, because
Pretty cool, man.
we've talked about this, how we vibe in sometimes, real is real, real feels real. So there's another concern I have, I don't know if we want to get to that yet, is that, with the whole, possible selling of stories and things like that, that's not something that we were informed about that would be a possibility at all. Like, I'm about upfront. If you want to tell me, hey, if you're possibly on my show, this might be on TV at a later date, you can have the opportunity to opt out or to not. If that was upfront, then I wouldn't be sitting here having anxiety, about a situation that might not even happen. But regardless, I'm stuck with the decision whether I'm going to participate, whether I'm going to have somebody else tell my story for me, regardless if I participate, because I've already participated on a live interview on YouTube. So those are two things that I also have to worry about.
He said that he wouldn't do any such thing without letting the victims know first. But do you feel like you question that because of some of the sketchy things that are coming up about him or something like that?
Yeah, because I've heard other, survivors from other individuals that, regardless of their them protesting, wanting to be part of it, they're pretty much being, like, that's my whole thing, is that I don't want to be forced into doing something I don't want to do, regardless. And so because I see others experiencing that and there's other sketchy things going on, I don't put it past, him to do that regardless, because if this is where I'm like I don't know how much I want to say, because obviously there's things that are personal, we have personal relationships and stuff, but there's certain survivors that how do I go about this? I'm trying to, without the situation of the Onision stuff, there's a certain survivor that regardless of what the other survivors are saying or putting their input in, they're going to do what they want to do. And we also have, with our group of survivors, we also have the same type of issue that I'm concerned about.
Okay. When people first started talking about Chris Hansen, there was a lot of pushback. A lot of people were trusting in him. And now, although that tide has kind of turned, I did still receive some comments in my previous recap with Ashlee. For example, this person says, "Shame to her," referring to Ashlee, "and shame to this channel. I hope Chris continues to help the victims regardless of what this girl says." Obviously referring to Ashlee. Chris isn't a cop. He can't just arrest Dahvie. He's spreading awareness as a journalist does.
That comment for one is crazy to me, because we are the survivors. Ashlee is a survivor. To say, oh, like, shame on her. Like, we're allowed to have our feelings and, different perceptions and who we want to work with. And regardless, I do appreciate that Chris is bringing awareness out there to this situation, and hopefully, it'll bring more awareness around further than what we would have thought, obviously, because he has a bigger audience and there's more people that know, like, he's a household name. And we appreciate that 100%. But to say that pretty much our feelings don't matter in the matter is kind of ridiculous. And we obviously know that he cannot go just arrest Dahvie. We are in the process of doing what we have to do. But the way I feel about it is that don't say that you have connections with the FBI if you don't. Don't say that you are going to make sure that there's justice happening when you're not even part of. Be a journalist. Do all that.
Yeah,
but don't sit here and say that you're getting justice for us when you're not even part of the investigation.
Right.
And the information that you're getting is from us.
Mm-hmm.
So, like.
Exactly. See, here's the thing, because, I have already seen, like, I didn't even want to cut you off, but I've already seen comments kind of defending him, saying, well, how do you know? And I mean, as far as, like, it's like, that's the issue with him not being clear, not presenting things. It's like, it makes it questionable, and not have clear transparency with the survivors, who are the ones that are in direct contact with the FBI, and they're saying things about Hansen that don't really align with what he's saying. That's the issue here. Now,
right.
I wanted to thank you, and of course the other survivors that have come on my show, Kylie and Ashlee, and others that have not but are still supportive of me. Like, not that anybody has to, of course, nothing like that. I'm just saying that it's important to keep in mind that, I don't know, I feel like this kind of comment illustrates why people are afraid to kind of be like, I don't want to talk bad about Hansen, even though I don't really trust in him anymore. Because of course, it's not just you, Ashlee, or Kylie that feel this way. It's more.
In general, anybody that does this type of work, Chris Hansen too, we all need to be accountable and learn and be open to other people's perspectives, especially, you know, your guests that are on the show, people that you're saying that you're helping. We're allowed to have constructive criticisms as well without, you know, not liking somebody, or we can be cautious. I mean, the way I see it is he just needs to be open to other people's criticisms, and he's not perfect. I don't care how long somebody's been in an industry, you always have room to learn and to grow, and he's new to YouTube. That's the way I feel. So at the end of the day, if we're saying as survivors and guests that were on your show that, you know, this is kind of rubbing us the wrong way and we're kind of wanting to distance ourselves because of this, instead of meeting that with, I'm going to do better and I'm going to listen. We're not saying you need to change everything about you and how you do things, but at least be like, I hear you. You know, like I hear your concerns and I want to make sure that, you know, I can rectify that. But I feel like that's been going the opposite, obviously, for Ashlee. And it makes me really upset because Ashlee is an amazing person, and she deserves all the support. Sorry about my swearing. She deserves all the support, like, in the world.
But I think that you help.
This is the last thing she needs, is to deal
just
with,
by showing your face, you know, and you're voicing your opinion as well and support. I think you're helping that because obviously she, you know, she's very vocal, which is fantastic, and for that reason, it kind of can be double-edged sword. But, like, you know, I'm sure she'll be thankful as well. Thank you for checking out this recap from my live stream. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe with notifications so you don't miss the next live stream, or check out my Patreon and watch them the next day.